They did not just steal the money, they erased it from existence. That is the shocking reality behind the boldest cyber attack to rattle the global stage in recent memory. Welcome to a new era of digital warfare, where hackers turn entire fortunes to ash in the name of politics, pride, and international power plays. Today, we are diving deep into the clandestine world of Gonjeshke Darande, also known as Predatory Sparrow, the group that has allegedly struck Iran's crypto infrastructure to the tune of nearly $90 million, only to incinerate it all with breathtaking fervor. What is truly happening behind these shadowy operations? How can a small, specialized collective wreak havoc on giant financial networks? And most importantly, what does this intensifying conflict mean for the stability of cyber systems around the world? In this expansive exploration, we will uncover who stands behind Gonjeshke Darande, reveal their most dramatic attacks, and investigate how their mission connects with the broader geopolitical tension simmering between Iran and Israel. We will answer the biggest questions swirling around this digital battlefield. Who are these masked saboteurs? What is driving them? And how far are they willing to go to make their statement heard? Buckle up. This saga is as politically charged as it is deeply personal for everyone involved. In this podcast-like deep dive, we will explore the surprising origins of the group, how they discovered critical vulnerabilities in Iran's top crypto exchange, and how they turned the stolen crypto into their own stinging message of defiance. We will also pull back the curtain on their advanced techniques, their most notorious campaigns, from banks and steel plants to railway systems, and uncover the growing speculation that they are receiving covert support from Israeli intelligence. By the end of this episode, you will not only learn the shocking details behind each major strike, but also see how these events form part of a larger puzzle of international espionage, sabotage, and digital brinkmanship. If you are fascinated by stories of real-life digital warriors, keep listening because we are about to see just how fragile the world's interconnected infrastructure truly is. And if you find yourself marveling at the sheer audacity of these attacks, go ahead and tap that like button. Every bit of encouragement fuels more in-depth investigations, so we can keep shining a light on stories that matter. First, let us confront the name itself. Gonjeshke Darande, or Predatory Sparrow, is a label that might sound deceptively small or even quaint, but do not be fooled. In Farsi, the phrase conjures an image of a small yet fiercely aggressive bird that swoops in with sharp precision. As the hackers themselves have suggested, they see themselves as little sparrows with razor talons, preying on what they consider to be corrupt or malicious entities associated with the Iranian government. Their name is both a subtle mockery and a warning. Do not underestimate us simply because you think we are small. The latest and perhaps most staggering maneuver by Gonjeshke Darande was their breach of Nobitex, Iran's leading cryptocurrency exchange, which was suspected in certain Western circles of enabling money laundering and sanctions evasion for the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. Reports indicate that the group absconded with nearly $90 million worth of digital assets, but the truly jaw-dropping detail is that they did not just walk away with these funds. Instead, they channeled them into special crypto wallets adorned with phrases denouncing the Iranian regime. Then, with a flourish, the funds were effectively burned, forever removed from circulation, a massive financial sacrifice that spoke louder than any typical theft. But the Nobitex heist is hardly the first time this group has set intellectual and physical fires within Iran. Just imagine you are suddenly seeing steel plants erupt in blazes or banks losing entire troves of sensitive data. Then, in the midst of it all, some intangible group steps forward with polished video evidence, flamboyant messaging, and the confident claim, "We did it, and there is nothing you can do to stop us." That is precisely the modus operandi of Gonjeshke Darande. They are not run-of-the-mill hackers looking for a quick payday. This is about impact, symbolism, and the infiltration of some of the most critical institutions in Iran. Let us rewind to the year 2021. Iranian Railways was on the receiving end of a humiliating meltdown. Stations across the country found their digital displays hacked, with departure and arrival boards replaced by mocking statements that ridiculed the authorities. Passengers who had hoped for a quiet and orderly trip were stunned to find trains delayed indefinitely, staff in disarray, and sensational headlines dominating the next day's news. That was one of the earliest glimpses of Gonjeshke Darande's shocking style. It was precisely choreographed chaos, and from that moment on, the group had set a new standard for how a cyber attack could become a potent public spectacle. Fast forward to 2022, when Iran's steel industry suddenly became a battlefield. The group launched coordinated assaults on 3 major steel plants, including the Khuzestan Steel Company, the Mobarakeh Steel Company, and the Hormozgan Steel Company. The drama skyrocketed when actual videos of the plants ablaze appeared online, posted by none other than our cunning sparrows. The result? Physical damage, an economic sting, and huge embarrassment for the Iranian government, which had to scramble to respond. The hackers, brimming with confidence, took credit for the entire fiasco, framing it as a blow against what they perceived as oppressive industries actively financing the state. But perhaps the biggest turning point came in mid-2025, mere weeks before the Nobitex fiasco. Another major Iranian institution found itself under siege, Bank Sepah, a longtime state-owned entity. In a daring intrusion, Gonjeshke Darande managed to extract troves of sensitive data and cause widespread service disruptions. As banking customers found themselves locked out of their accounts, the group publicly leaked financial documents intending to expose government secrets. It was as if the hackers were saying, "We know where you keep your treasures, and we will not hesitate to break in." One of the more intriguing aspects of Gonjeshke Darande is their flair for showmanship. Typical clandestine hackers might vanish into the shadows after a breach, but not this group. They have demonstrated a pattern of releasing professional-caliber videos, curated to capture the carnage of their attacks, plus documents, chat logs, or screenshots that verify their involvement. They have also cultivated a dedicated presence on messaging platforms like Telegram, dropping cryptic hints and building hype before unveiling their next big hit. Their digital calling cards, defaced web pages, crypto addresses with provocative statements, and strategic leaks of official files transform an ordinary hacking spree into a spectacle of humiliating proportions for Iranian cybersecurity officials. At the core of this meticulously orchestrated campaign lies a question that baffles security experts worldwide. Who is supplying these hackers with the sophisticated resources and knowledge to breach well-defended networks? The majority of intelligence analysts, as well as global cybersecurity firms such as SentinelOne and Checkpoint Research, agree that they are likely affiliated with Israel, or at least are heavily supported by Israeli intelligence. Although Israel has not openly claimed responsibility, the targeting patterns, the intensifying political messages, and the swirling accusations from Iranian officials all point in that direction. To understand the magnitude of this alleged state sponsorship, consider the complexity of the research required to pinpoint vulnerabilities in advanced systems. Nobitex, for instance, was no amateur outfit. It was Iran's foremost cryptocurrency platform, presumably outfitted with credible security protocols to handle the large volumes of digital assets exchanged each day. In a typical scenario, a hack of that magnitude would require a well-funded team, possibly with zero-day exploits, specialized software, and plenty of inside information. This is not the sort of mission you outsource to hobbyist hackers in a basement. The skill set and resource base are indicative of a methodical espionage operation, especially when you include those theatrical flourishes that showcase every burning steel beam and every line of leaked data. At the very least, it suggests a robust network that extends beyond the immediate circle of a typical hacking crew. Now, if you thought hacking financial networks and industrial facilities were already ground-shaking feats, you should see how these attacks speak to a broader global phenomenon. As governments become more reliant on digital technology, they also introduce new vulnerabilities. Cyber attacks, once viewed as a lesser threat than ground invasions or missile strikes, are now recognized by intelligence communities as real acts of war, capable of causing massive infrastructure breakdowns and billions of dollars in damage. When a group like Gonjeshke Darande emerges, not only doing things for personal gain, but destroying assets to make a pointed statement, it nudges us into a tense, unpredictable age of digital sabotage. That unpredictability begs one critical question: where does it end? If burning nearly $90 million of cryptocurrency is not beyond their willingness, what else might they do? Could they permanently cripple Iran's electricity grid, manipulate key nuclear facilities, or sabotage water treatment plants? The theoretical possibilities of coordinated attacks are vast. The deeper we travel into the labyrinth of connected systems, the more we realize that every data pipeline, every server, and every operational technology platform is a prime target when geopolitics flares out of control. For the Iranian government, whose international standing has been precarious for decades, these attacks present a serious challenge. On one hand, officials often blame the usual suspect, citing Israeli or Western meddling. On the other, they have to address rising internal discontent every time a new wave of sabotage disrupts day-to-day life, whether that means bank clientele locked out of their funds, transport lines paralyzed, or industrial plants set alight. The government's repeated attempts to reassure the public of their cybersecurity preparedness start to ring hollow when a group like Gonjeshke Darande can orchestrate multiple high-profile attacks within a span of a few years. Yet, in the grander chess game of Middle Eastern geopolitics, it is not only Iran feeling the pressure. Israel, too, must walk a delicate line. While these ongoing digital strikes may serve strategic goals, derailing Iran's industrial growth and hitting its financial alliances, they also risk significant escalation. If Iran retaliates, or if other regional powers sense an opportunity or a threat, we could see a chain reaction of tit-for-tat cyber assaults that spiral into unprecedented territory. The entire region might find itself destabilized by digital sabotage, with potential blackouts, distorted financial markets, or hamperings of crucial infrastructure. So is Gonjeshke Darande truly unstoppable? Experts say no system is invulnerable, not even the group that claims to infiltrate nearly any Iranian entity. It is probable that intelligence agencies from different world powers are collaborating behind the scenes, continually investigating new leads, analyzing each line of malicious code, and trying to catch the group in the act. One slip-up could lead to arrests or exposures that shift the entire dynamic. Publicly, Iran often declares it has identified spies or threat actors, although credible evidence of such arrests or shutdowns remains scarce. The digital footprints of Gonjeshke Darande, while well concealed, are occasionally visible. The use of vanity crypto wallets, advanced knowledge of Iranian security systems, carefully orchestrated social media campaigns, and that deeply provocative sense of humor reflected in the mocking defacements. The group's overall brand is almost cinematic, and that level of bravado typically cannot be sustained forever, not without mistakes or infiltration. But until any conclusive revelations surface, the world is left to guess the full extent of who is truly behind these relentless attacks, and just how large their arsenal of zero-day exploits may be. One might ask, what about the ordinary people caught in the crossfire? Whenever a bank is disrupted or a major industrial venture is crippled, the reverberations are felt at street level. Citizens might lose access to funds, be forced into unemployment if factories go idle, or cope with supply chain disruptions that raise prices on everyday goods. In many ways, that is precisely the goal of politically motivated hacking, to weaken not just government structures, but also to rattle the public's faith in their leaders. At the same time, the hackers themselves portray it as a means of undermining what they view as oppressive regimes, hoping to spark public debate or outcry that leads to broader changes. If you are riveted by the dramatic push and pull of digital conflict, feel free to hit that subscribe button now so you will not miss any future episodes where we dig into the clandestine corners of worldwide cybersecurity showdowns. Each new disclosure or leak from this group is like watching a chapter in a spy thriller unfold before your eyes, except it is all too real and has devastating consequences for anyone who depends on digital networks. And that is practically everyone on Earth now. Interestingly, while states might usually hush up such attacks to avoid spreading panic, Gonjeshke Darande-like operations rarely stay under the radar because the perpetrators want their presence known. That is where the theatrics come in. A hush-hush infiltration that no one hears about accomplishes nothing in the realm of psychological and political impact. Conversely, videos of factories in flames, battered websites sporting bold protest statements, and digital signboards displaying subversive messages are all part of the irresistible marketing of fear. It ensures the message is not only delivered, but also that it reverberates far beyond the initial splash. Moreover, the hackers' choice of methods, from broadcasting anti-Iranian regime sentiments on compromised platforms to funneling stolen crypto into addresses that brandish ideological slogans, further cements their political leanings. This is more than a quest for money. Indeed, real financial profit could have been made, but the group deliberately torched their own bounty, which underscores that their objective is to demonstrate power, disrupt state strategies, and leave a flamboyant scar on the Iranian economy. This phenomenon is relatively rare. Typically, cybercriminals want to profit from ransoms or theft, but in this case, the entire financial infiltration is an instrument of defiance. All of this begs the question, what is the endgame for Gonjeshke Darande? Do they envision a total collapse of Iranian officialdom, with the public rising up in anger at repeated humiliations? Or is this an ongoing round of tit-for-tat sabotage meant to degrade Iran's capabilities bit by bit? The group often frames themselves as freedom fighters in their messaging, but external observers note that such a narrative conveniently aligns with the political interests of outside states eager to see Iran weakened. Whether they are patriots, mercenaries, or intelligence assets is still open to debate. Expanding beyond region-specific tensions, the group's exploits beckon a sobering reflection on the fragility of digital underpinnings worldwide. Experts warn that such events will become more frequent as more systems rely on permanent online connectivity. From power grids in Europe to financial clearinghouses in North America, every corner of the planet has something that can be targeted. And as the cost of orchestrating such attacks drops in comparison to the massive potential reward, or in the case of Gonjeshke Darande, the enormous political leverage, it may only be a matter of time before more hacker collectives step onto the stage. The burning of the nearly $90 million in crypto is also instructive for anyone who believes digital assets are beyond the reach of national disputes. Initially championed for the freedom they afford users, cryptocurrencies have turned into a prized target for sanctions evasion, illicit tradies, and, in this case, a stage for sensational sabotage. This new wave of crypto warfare reveals that money, data, and activism can all merge into a single unstoppable force, especially in the hands of a group that wields them as if they were artillery shells in a high-stakes conflict. What makes everything more unsettling is that while government agencies quarrel over responsibility, private citizens and smaller businesses can wind up as collateral damage. Suppose you are simply trying to go about your day, sending money to a family member through a local bank or a crypto exchange. Suddenly, you discover that your transactions are frozen or your entire portfolio has vanished. That is the real cost of politically charged hacking, the disruption of innocent people's lives, fueling more chaos that might feed into the hacker's ultimate aims. It is a reminder that this conflict, though couched in terms of national interest and sovereignty, often leaves ordinary individuals in the crosshairs. From the perspective of intelligence circles, infiltration of Iranian financial institutions and industrial complexes might pay off beyond just short-term sabotage. Data gleaned and systems compromised could pave the way for more surgical strikes down the line. The group might be mapping out vulnerabilities, planting backdoors, or holding on to golden exploits for the perfect moment. Cyber defense, in that context, becomes an endless chase, one that demands continuous vigilance and adaptation, especially as the group behind Gonjeshke Darande repeatedly showcases the ability to remain a few moves ahead of the defenders. Some commentators have speculated that the recent spate of attacks might be a prelude to an even more grandiose escalation. If the aim is to cripple major sectors of the Iranian economy, then each success presumably leads to the next, forging a pattern of increasingly grand attempts to break protective barriers. That leaves us all wondering if the group has its sights on something far bigger, perhaps a large-scale hacking event that cripples essential government communication systems or undermines key national industries that Iran relies upon for revenue. At the same time, the group's publicly theatrical style serves as a clarion call for any copycat hackers or aspiring vigilantes. Such large-scale, politically justified attacks, accompanied by slick videos and global headlines, can inspire other groups to enact similar stunts. That cross-pollination of hacking techniques, political messaging, and sensational showboating might create an environment where the digital realm becomes a perpetual battleground for ideological wars. As more hacker squads realize they can harness public attention and inflict real-world damage without necessarily risking the typical repercussions of physical warfare, the appetite for digital sabotage may only grow. Yet, amid all these frightening scenarios, it is prudent to remember that no conflict stands still forever. Detection, infiltration, and reactive measures will ramp up as the Iranian government, possibly aided by allied states, invests more resources to fortify critical networks. For every vulnerability discovered, there are countless cybersecurity professionals tirelessly patching code, isolating compromised servers, and analyzing infiltration logs. Whether or not that will be enough to stem the rising tide remains to be seen, especially when the hacking group in question appears to have deep pockets and unstoppable motivation. Meanwhile, the global scramble among media outlets, intelligence experts, and curious netizens continues as they piece together the puzzle of who precisely is behind that flamboyant sparrow mask. Despite repeated denials from official Israeli sources, the trail of hints linking the hackers with Israel remains quite compelling. Political watchers also point to the decades-long hostility between the two nations, which has involved everything from alleged assassinations of scientists to sabotage of nuclear facilities. The entire region is no stranger to covert operations, so the digital domain is an obvious next frontier. In the face of these massive disruptions, self-preservation emerges as a crucial concern for all sides. For Iran, it is about shoring up vulnerabilities and possibly launching their own retaliatory strikes to signal that they can also play hardball. For aligned states that might or might not be backing these hackers, it is about managing the narrative, being certain that any blowback does not become too costly politically or militarily. And for everyday users, be they Iranian citizens or international spectators, it is about staying vigilant whenever the next big hack surfaces. That being said, we can only prepare for so much. Technology shapes modern life to the point that it is nearly impossible to disconnect from these digital webs. Even people far from the front lines of any conflict may feel the shockwaves of retaliatory strikes that spread like wildfire through multinational corporate networks, social media platforms, and global supply chains. Perhaps that is the scariest part. In a globally interconnected age, no firewall is ever absolute, and no distance truly keeps you safe from the after effects of a concentrated cyber onslaught. If you found yourself enthralled by this unfolding epic of hacking, espionage, and political tension, consider giving this presentation a like. That simple gesture helps let us know that people out there are keen on following the deep twists and turns of cyber warfare, stories that might shape our collective future. With more interest, we can bring you even more thorough investigations and keep abreast of every new development as it emerges from the digital battlefield. As for Gonjeshke Darande, Predatory Sparrow, one of the biggest lessons gleaned so far is that they thrive on unpredictability. Just when you think you have them figured out, they swoop from a new angle, setting ablaze a facility or decimating an entire fortune in cryptocurrency. They appear to relish public spectacle and global astonishment. That may be part of their psychological warfare, to keep not only Iranian officials but also the entire world anxious and guessing, waiting for the next digital bombshell. Wherever this escalates, we can be certain it will not be the last time we hear from them. With tensions between Israel and Iran continuing to boil, and with cryptographic methods making it ever easier for hackers to operate from the shadows, it is possible that the scorched remnants of stolen crypto are just the start. Government servers, oil refineries, or nuclear research labs, anything might be in crosshairs. As we move forward, the boundaries between conventional conflict, cyber sabotage, and intelligence infiltration blur in ways we have never before witnessed. This subject is no longer confined to the realms of geeky security experts or intelligence insiders. It touches every aspect of modern society, from how we buy goods and transfer assets to how we access everyday services. The chilling efficiency of Predatory Sparrow's operations should serve as a clarion call to organizations worldwide. If it could happen to a major financial institution in one region, it could happen anywhere. That is the brave, if daunting, new reality we face in the age of total interconnectivity. In closing, the story of Gonjeshke Darande is both a cautionary tale and a riveting saga that merges espionage, political rivalries, and the terrifying potential of unchecked digital prowess. The image of a small yet deadly sparrow diving on its prey is a compelling metaphor, and one that underscores the imbalance between powerful but vulnerable state systems and nimble, cunning saboteurs. Keep your eyes open, because as long as conflicts simmer and technology marches ahead, we can expect more chapters in this evolving narrative of digital warfare and high-stakes intrigue.